Robert W. McChesney, Digital Disconnect: How Capitalism is Turning the Internet Against Democracy. In Digital Disconnect: How Capitalism is Turning the Internet Against Democracy, Robert W. McChesney takes readers on an insightful journey into the true nature of the Internet and its evolution in relation to capitalism and democracy. The book's summary delves into the debate between Internet celebrants who view the web as a tool for prosperity and equality, and as skeptics who argue it has made people more shallow. McChesney tackles the misconceptions surrounding capitalism and sheds light on the political economy of communications, the role of advertising, and the impact of the Internet on journalism. The summary leaves readers better informed about the complex dynamics of the digital revolution and its implications for society.
The Internet debate. The Internet has been a catalyst for debate, with celebrants and skeptics being the two schools of thought. Celebrants believe that the Internet's capacity to connect and share information worldwide will trigger a more equal society, scientific advancement, and leisure. On the other hand, skeptics opine that the universal flow of data does not guarantee an increased understanding. Author Eli Pariser accuses the Internet of creating filter bubbles where users are subjected to a protective sphere that impedes unanticipated creative thoughts. Skeptics believe that people become less capable of critical thinking and become shallow with the ease of obtaining information from the Internet. Both perspectives remain ignorant of the political and economic context of the Internet. Several power-wielding entities use the web to undermine an equal society, as we witness in China, which denies free speech but allows business use of the Internet. Therefore, understanding the digital revolution demands scrutinizing capitalism and the political economy. The Capitalism Fable. Capitalism, as we know it, is an ideological fable. The market rarely produces what people need, inequality is embedded in its DNA, and class mobility is limited. Advertising is the lifeblood of capitalism, and it fuels an explosion of emotions in consumers. At its core, capitalism means continually growing firms and economies. The Internet age has opened us to critical discussions on capitalism and the society it creates. Capitalism, democracy, and the media. The relationship between capitalism, democracy, and the media is a complex one. While they are often treated as equal, they are very different, and the intersection of these three forces can result in depoliticization and disempowerment. Powerful corporations, in particular, have the ability to distort democratic systems, leaving citizens, especially the poor, with little power and choice. The media, commercial or otherwise, is often seen as a reflection of public interest, but in reality, it is shaped by market forces and has its own set of biases. The emergence of the Internet presented a new critical juncture for media organizations, where changes could be made to the system. However, the digital revolution has also been compromised by capitalist appropriation and development of the Internet. Ultimately, reconciling the monopolistic commercial news media with the requirements of a political democracy is a challenge that requires careful consideration and action. The capitalist taming of the Internet. The Internet was initially seen as a democratic force that would not succumb to government censorship. However, huge corporations capitalized on its potential and quickly turned the once free service into a capitalist sector. Although the U.S. government only partly funded the Internet, it spent far more on it than the Manhattan Project. More than one-third of university researchers involved in the research behind the Internet received National Security Agency funding. The emergence of Apple, Netflix, and e-books on the Internet heralded a new era of monetization. The public service was no longer free, but instead, one that the great and powerful exploited. Consequently, those who once sought freedom online now have to negotiate their way through a minefield of commercial interests. Although the Internet was supposed to herald the dawn of democracy on a global scale, this has not come to pass. In conclusion, what was once seen as a beacon of hope is now just another tool in the hands of the powerful. The Internet and Capitalism. How the American government's capitalist stance towards the Internet and the actions of powerful industries have led to the current duopoly of Internet services, stifled competition and violated privacy. The Internet was initially viewed as a platform for free and non-commercial interaction, but capitalist attitudes towards technology soon took over. Technological advancements that were meant to bring transparency and support innovation have turned into a means for censorship and exploitation. The U.S. military and national security agencies have claimed ownership of the Internet, while established cable and telephone companies viewed it as a threat to their established power. Deregulation was proposed by these companies and supported by the American government as a means to let operators run the Internet for profit. The idea was that competition would ensure the smooth running of the Internet, but the reality was that it led to a duopoly, with two companies controlling all Internet services and leaving Americans paying exorbitant amounts for inferior service. The government has played an active role in shaping media markets and contributed to the collapse of Internet service providers via regulations and rulings. Meanwhile, companies have purchased their competitors and are now using copyright laws to stifle competition. Advertising has become the primary funding source for online monopolies, leading to a violation of privacy and the unethical tracking and sharing of personal information. As a result, the online world has turned into a domain of monopoly, where a few companies control the bulk of Internet services, undermining the initial idea that the Internet is a platform for free and non-commercial interaction. The capitalist stance towards the Internet has led to a fundamental shift in the purpose and function of the online world. It has changed from a platform for free speech and non-commercial communication, to a means of profit maximization, where privacy and competition are sacrificed for the interests of a few powerful entities. The question that remains is whether these monopoly interests will be allowed to take over the Internet or whether policy debates over the use of this public resource will lead to a more equitable and democratic online world. The future of journalism. Journalism has been intertwined with commercial interests since America's inception, but it has never fully embraced commerce. However, new media seeks to profit by leveraging public domain content. The Internet has only intensified the divide between commercialism and journalism and threatens the economic base of traditional media types like newspapers. Healthy journalism should provide everyone with the information they need and distinguish truth from lies regularly and methodically. It would also give people access to a wide range of informed opinions. Nonetheless, this requires substantial funding that the media industry currently lacks. As media outlets increase, responsible journalism becomes more scarce. Citizens' journalistic needs remain underserved in a world where news is regurgitated and context-free. Shaping society with technology. The Internet's impact on society is not inherent in the technology, but people choose how to use it. Government policies can shape how the web is utilized, limiting certain types of ads, expanding non-profit media, and providing more funding for community media. Net neutrality should be upheld, and every American deserves access to broadband as a right. The government can fund news ventures without dictating an ideological slant on the news. Ultimately, policies that prioritize democracy and freedom can ensure that digital technology benefits society.
The book summary of A Digital Disconnect highlights the various factors that have shaped the evolution of the Internet and brought about its current state, such as the dominance of monopolistic competition, the influence of powerful corporations, and the capitalist-driven nature of online advertising. McChesney reveals how these factors have had a significant impact on journalism and politics, causing a decline in healthy journalism and the distortion of democratic systems. The summary concludes by presenting policy recommendations to guide the future development of digital technologies and ensure they contribute positively to democracy and freedom. Ultimately, Digital Disconnect offers readers an in-depth understanding of the intricate relationship between the Internet, capitalism, and democracy, and how a shift in policy and awareness could lead to a brighter and more equal digital future.